Why can't you make friends? You probably think there's a bunch of reasons why, but I'm here to tell you that none of those reasons matter, because there is a 100% guaranteed way to make friends based on evolutionary science and behavioral psychology, sociology, bunch of studies, even anecdotal evidence. Like myself, and I, no. It has worked for me quite a few times, 3 times specifically using this exact formula. And I really encourage you to try it out. So let's just do a brief background and then we're going to get into it. Humans are one of the very few species in history to have ever invented the concept of friendship. It's almost a pretty much uniquely human trait. It's like friendship is built into us. We are a tribal species. We used to be part of villages that had like 150 people and we knew all of their names. That was then, and this is now. The idea of having a village of 150 people seems impossible. The idea of even having 15 people in your circle of friends seems really hard to imagine. But don't worry, I would not have made this video if I didn't have a very functional working solution. And I've used this solution, I've used this formula, I'll call it a formula, both accidentally and intentionally, and has worked every time. Even to the point that now a lot of those friends I made that way are lifelong friends, that we could be out of touch for years and still come back and be like best buds. It's just the correct way to make friends, I guess. All right, enough chit chat, let's just get into it. There's only 5 steps, 5 very easy steps. And so let's start with step number 1, find a tribe. We are a tribal species. So the first thing we gotta do is find our tribe. But what does that even mean? What is a tribe? A tribe is, for our purposes, a very simple concept. It's basically a bunch of people with a shared interest. That's it. So like a volleyball club or video game community, crochet circles, car meetups, anything like that where a group of people come together IRL in real life and participate in an activity together. That's enough. So that's step 1. You just have to find one of these. However, it's critical, like this will not work if you don't do this correctly. It is critical that you pick an interest, that you find a tribe with a shared interest that you are very, 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 very interested in. And you'll see why that's important in a second. Step 2. 30-30-30. Sociology studies have shown that in order to go from a relationship status of like stranger to friend, you need to have a minimum of 30 interactions with them. A minimum of 30 interactions. That number is important. Sure, it can swing a little bit based on your social ability, but for the sake of sticking to the formula, 30. That means that when you're looking for that tribe in step 1 with the shared interest, you need to find a tribe that has frequent meetups. They need to be once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month. But once you start getting into like once every 2 months and beyond, that's too inconsistent, too infrequent for this formula to work. So, step 1, find a tribe with a shared interest that you're very interested in. Step 2, make sure that they meet up in a consistent interval. Step 3, conversation. The super important rule for step 3 is that when you go to these meetings, when you go to this tribe with a shared interest, the only thing you are allowed to talk about is the shared interest. You cannot talk about your personal life or work or even the weather, F the weather. You are only there to talk about the shared interest because you are still in the tribe stage. The only bonding component that you guys have, you're a bunch of strangers, the bonding component is the shared interest, the shared symbolism, whatever it is. It's that's keeping you guys together. That's the only topic of conversation. So for example, if you're in a volleyball club, you can talk about, I don't know, techniques or the Olympics. If you're in a video game community, you can talk about strategies or stuff. This is why it's so important from that step 1 that you pick something that you're really interested in, because you're going to need to talk about it a lot. Think of it, at least 30 meetings in this subject matter talking about the shared interest, right? You need to go in with all kinds of passion about it or knowledge about it or interest about it for it to work. Okay, step 4. So after going to these meetings at least 30 times, now you get to test the waters. What you're going to do is you're going to find an extracurricular activity that is strongly related to what you guys are already meeting up to do. So for example, if you're in a crochet circle, that extracurricular activity could be a craft fair that's happening over the weekend or something. So you find this extracurricular activity, then you go to your tribe at the next meetup and you tell them like, hey, there's this craft fair going on that seems really cool. Do you guys want to go? And they will say yes. Why? Because you guys have hung out already 30 times talking about this very subject. It is something that not just you, everyone there is interested in that thing. They would be happy to go do things related to that subject. So you make plans to go to this craft fair, and when you're there, you still have to follow rule 3 about sticking to the subject matter for conversation. You still talk about crafts or crochet or whatever it is. Now you have a little more to talk about because the craft fair opens up the topics a little bit, but you still stick to the topics. If someone else in the group brings up something else, of course join in, that's fine. But you do not try to force any non-subject matter conversations. So you're at this craft fair, you guys are walking around, chit-chatting about different things. What's gonna happen is that more and more personal topics will start to seep into the conversation very naturally, very organically, just kind of, based on what's happening around you. And you guys are creating these memories. Not only are you creating memories from the meetups, you're creating these extra memories from these unique events. And novelty is a very strong mechanism for creating a memory. So you're having these first-time experiences together at this craft fair or whatever it is, and that's all building up your tribal bonding. So we're still in step 4, where now you're gonna just rinse and repeat this, where you keep going to the normal activities, and every once in a while you suggest an extracurricular activity, and just keep that going for a little bit. And now, step 5. Inevitably, gradually, and completely organically, what's going to happen is that you're going to start to get invites to things like birthday parties, cottage getaways, even weddings. Which means, congratulations, you are now officially in friend territory. And it happened completely organically without anyone ever having to define a relationship or swipe on an app or anything. You now have friends, and you and your friends are going to be forever bonded because of your experiences together doing this shared activity. Even years from now, when people move on to different interests, those memories will still be very nostalgic and important to them, and will still keep the strength of your friendship even years down the road. And that's all there is to it. That's the formula for making friends. You find a tribe with a shared interest, you go to those meetings at least 30 times, you talk about just the subject matter, you find extracurricular activities to do together, and then eventually you guys are just gonna be friends. That's it. Congratulations, you can do it. I believe in you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer in the comments, but yeah.